Hey guys, how's it going? Lone Hippie here. How you doing? So, I just came back from a 2 weeks vacation out in Phuket, where I got to experience climbing up to the top of a mountain to a giant Buddha statue. I got to go snorkeling for a couple days. I did a lot of free diving. I spent a lot of time at the beach, saw plenty of fish, saw coral reefs. I did a lot of stuff. I spent Christmas out there. I spent the New Year, watched the countdown, saw a bunch of fireworks for the New Year. So I had a lot of fun. But once I came back home, I didn't see the plants doing too well. Tune in. As you can see, a lot of the plants are either on their last legs or have not actually made it. So, the tips and tricks that I tried before to keep them at least moist, yeah, seem to have worked just long enough to keep them barely alive, but yeah, didn't work for all of them. As you can see, these pothos plants, they actually made it relatively unscathed, and the Groot's head is doing okay, but not great. What actually surprised me most is these hanging pots actually did pretty well. The parsley and cilantro, they're doing pretty well, as well as the basil on the other hanging pot, and looks like most other things have died, but look at the basil, it's doing fantastic. It's actually beginning to fruit. The spider plant, it is still recovering from when it got overwatered when I tested it last, but it's doing okay. The bottled pothos and the fern in the back, they're doing alright. Not everything is bad though. As you can see, these couple of pineapple heads that I took off, yeah, stuck them in water, they're actually growing pretty well. As you can see, this one's got a huge amount of roots. It's fantastic. The ones that are inside this little tray that I watered, you can tell that the snake plant and aloe vera are doing alright, but this devil's ivy could be doing a bit better, but alive. These tomatoes, they're doing alright, plus the pepper, yeah, not bad. One interesting thing I noticed around this lucky bamboo is something started to sprout, but doesn't look like it made it, so if it's a weed, not a big deal. Now, one major thing that you'll see upon first glance is that the flowers did not make it. But at least they were in their flowering stage, which means, I don't know if you can tell there, but those are actually seeds. So, even though they didn't make it, I can actually harvest these seeds and then actually plant a second generation. So yeah, nothing too bad. As you can tell, the little pomegranate is doing okay, but the other ones around it, oosh, not too much. These other pothoses up here, they're doing alright, as well as that elephant's ear. Yeah, not too bad. So what I did next is, you see all the leaves that are just coming off with barely any effort? Yeah, just take all those leaves off because those are the leaves that the plant's trying to get rid of anyways. And make sure to take the leaves away from the bottom of the pot, otherwise you can cause more diseases this way. I basically did this for the rest of my plants, and as you can see, maybe a couple leaves took a little bit of effort, but for the most part, yeah, the plant was trying to get rid of them anyways. You want to try to make sure that the leaves that are just popping off, just like that, yeah, that's how you know that those leaves are goners. Now, sometimes you run into plants like this, as you can see, the leaves aren't necessarily just coming off as easily. So I figured that I would just trim this plant a little bit, just at least if it's going to try to fight back for some of the leaves, at least leave it for the most important ones. But yeah, I'm not holding too high hopes for this plant, unfortunately. As for the rest of the plants, pretty much the same thing as before. Just pick off all the leaves that are coming off quite easily and leave the ones that the plant is still fighting for. Maybe those leaves still have a fighting chance. Now when it comes to all these extra bottles that I have and all this extra string, I'm not going to do anything with it just yet, but I am going to still save it because I do want to try some experiments in the future to see if I can avoid problems like this ever again. Now I will avoid pruning a few plants, and for example like this little baby aloe vera right here. It does look very brown, it does not look very good, but I've had these aloe veras for a long time, and I know for a fact that when they turn brown like this, it's just kind of like we get a sunburn. So they will be brown for a little bit, but as long as I give it water and a little bit less sunlight, yeah, they should be totally fine. So I will not be pruning these despite the color. Now there are some plants that I feel that have favored pretty well throughout the last couple weeks. For example, these pothos right here. You can see that they have some dead and dying parts. Like this one vine right here doesn't look like it's doing too well, so I'll just have to prune this guy back. But otherwise, yeah, look at this. They're all doing quite well. So in terms of this vine, I think well, it looks like there's a new leaf growing right there, so I might actually just try cutting here on down, try to get rid of these dead bits, because again, you don't want any other pathogens to start growing on this. And this other golden pothos right here, I'm actually surprised this one seems to be doing the best out of most plants. I'm actually really happy to see this one, because this one I actually kind of got off the street because it broke off another bit of, I guess, like pothos lawn. I don't know what you call that. But yeah, this one I just kind of got by accident, and it's doing the best so far. So I'm pretty happy. Now as for what I'm going to do with all this dead and dying material, I'm actually going to chop it up a little bit and put it into my soil bag here. And you may be asking, why would I be doing this if I'm trying to avoid pathogens? Well, of course I'm going to be mixing the soil a bunch too, so that any microbes that are still in the soil have something to break down. That way I still have healthy soil at the end of the day, and it's a good way to kind of recycle dead bits of plants. One more thing I'll do for the soil, now that it's all kind of mixed in there, I don't know how well you can tell. There we go. I'm going to add some water, because I want at least any microbes in there to be able to break it down. Of course I don't want to add too much water, I don't want to make this a soup, but yeah, I want to add at least enough water so that all this material in here does begin to break down. At least I got a few things out of it. I've got some new seeds that came from the little cosmos flowers that I had been growing, right? So at least I got something out of it. I have got a second generation of plants to start. So yeah, not too bad overall. But yeah, just wanted to give a quick update and to let you guys know that perhaps some future videos will be me testing out some other methods. And if you guys have any other suggestions for, I guess, potential ways to keep plants alive, or what I did wrong, what I could do better, yeah, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to read them. But yeah, thank you very much. Hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace out.